This is the dark side of ADHD. You consistently have days where you feel terrible and can't get motivated. Days where you just won't function, when your mind simply won't cooperate. Everything feels 10 times harder and you wish you could just break out of your brain. You look around and see people living these productive, stable lives. And you can't help but ask yourself, why can't I be like that? Why does my life have to be so difficult? ADHD can feel like living life on hard mode. It's the reason why 25 to 50% of us are afraid of social interactions or life in general. And why around 30% of us feel like we're not worth anything and lose hope completely, which may lead to living a way shorter life. So when someone tells you that ADHD is just about you not being able to sit still and focus and that you should get over it, lightly chuckle to yourself and then show them this. ADHD is often the main root cause of many of these struggles. It's like an invisible web that connects everything in your life. But what if understanding this web is the key to turning everything around? ADHD can feel like a curse, like a darkness you can't escape. But what if there's more to this story? I know how hard it feels, trapped in a cycle of bitterness and frustration. It feels like your brain is working against you on a daily basis. I felt like this for years, but then something shifted. It wasn't a magic fix. It didn't make things easier overnight, but it gave me a new perspective. One that changed everything. It's a simple idea about life with ADHD that I want to share with you today. But first, let's go into why life with ADHD can be a never-ending cycle of frustration, which mainly comes down to how your brain handles dopamine. You see, while people without ADHD are able to tell their brain what to do, you have a dopamine dysregulation, which leads to the loss of control over your brain functions. Activation, focus, effort, memory, and action. All these functions are now impaired because you don't have enough fuel in your brain. And so while other people can use willpower or discipline to force themselves through difficult situations or days, you often can't. It's like trying to squeeze a sponge that's empty. Your brain just won't cooperate. You therefore lead a life enslaved, at the mercy of your brain, constantly on the chase for something stimulating. In a world where 95% of people don't have ADHD and dopamine is always within reach, it's easy to feel like you're spiraling out of control. Worse, it can leave you feeling isolated, as if you're letting everyone down, including yourself. And so it's no wonder we feel lost, right? Like we have to fend for ourselves. While there are strategies to mitigate problems with focus, which I'll share at the end of this video, you can't turn back the genetic decision that ADHD will be with you for the rest of your life. So how can we learn to live with it? Can we even do that? And is it possible to maybe even thrive? This was the question that I set out to answer. And spoiler alert, what I found shocked me. I started my quest looking for hope, for successful people who have ADHD. Maybe there were some. And what I came across confused me. I saw my screen light up with some of the brightest minds of the 20th century. Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci. The list went on and on. Although they were never officially diagnosed, since the term ADHD didn't even exist at the time, experts today believe that many traits outlined in the modern ADHD diagnostic manual were evident in the behavior of these renowned scientists. Einstein was known for being highly imaginative and had a wandering mind. As a child, he struggled in traditional school settings, often described as inattentive and rebellious. He also displayed hyperfocus, working intensely on physics problems for long periods, as known in ADHD. He ended up discovering the theory of relativity. Tesla was a brilliant inventor who was known for his intense focus on his ideas to the point of neglecting his health. He had difficulty adhering to structured environments and routines, traits often associated with ADHD. This man invented light bulbs. Thomas Edison's teachers reportedly described him as confused and unable to sit still or focus on traditional education. He thrived in a self-directed, hands-on learning environment, inventing technologies that changed the world. He invented the phonograph in 1877, which was the first device capable of recording and playing back sound, revolutionizing the way audio was preserved and shared. Da Vinci's prolific creativity and vast array of unfinished projects also suggest a mind mind that leapt from one idea to the next. His journals reveal that he often struggled with follow-through, hallmark of ADHD. He made some of the most beautiful paintings ever created, one of which sold for over $450 million. These stories really took me aback and made me think, what if there's a bright side to ADHD? What if it actually helped all of these inventors and artists create their work? But then I thought, no, that can't be. These scientists are no longer alive, and who's really to say if they would have gotten diagnosed with ADHD? It's all speculation. But then I stumbled upon something that left me even more confused. Einstein, Edison, Tesla, and Da Vinci weren't the only ones. In fact, there were dozens and dozens of more successful people with ADHD. Michael Phelps, Jesse J, Simone Biles, David Goggins, Jim Carrey. It turns out there are hundreds of successful people nowadays officially diagnosed with ADHD. People that I knew and looked up to. Scrolling through the people that follow me, I found many who were famous DJs, artists, actors, and even billionaires. And this made me really question my approach to ADHD in general. What if there's more to ADHD than meets the eye? Yes, it literally makes life insufferable at times, living in a constant rush for something always out of reach. Yes, I feel like less than and constantly misunderstood by others, but it's almost like all of this makes me want to achieve and prove them wrong that much more. For some reason, I rarely give up anymore. It's almost like all of my struggles have helped me become incredibly resilient to what life throws at me, which coincidentally I found was also one of the main ADHD strengths often cited. And this is when I came across something that changed everything for me. I learned that most successful people become successful because they think they're not good enough. They succeeded because they were relentlessly driven to prove themselves, turning their struggles into fuel. It's almost like they traded a balanced life for an unrelenting obsession so they can give the world something extraordinary. How does this relate to ADHD? Well, it turns out that most entrepreneurs have it. Having ADHD literally doubles your chances of starting your own business. And so maybe there's a link. Maybe there is meaning in the suffering that comes with my ADHD. Maybe it's the price I have to pay for something greater. What could the meaning behind ADHD suffering be? Well, the answer to that is deeply personal and ultimately yours to define. For me, it comes down to this. Our brains are wired to crave sensation because we have less dopamine. We're constantly seeking that next spark, that next rush. And while it can feel overwhelming, it seems that it's also the source of our ingenuity, creativity, and fearless risk-taking. That drive for stimulation is what makes us uniquely equipped to think outside the box and chase the extraordinary. Think about it. Maybe there's a flip side to ADHD that we've ignored all along. Yes, you have a constant craving for dopamine, but did you know that this actually gives you the ability to become very calm and focused in high-pressure situations because these circumstances provide your brain with the dopamine that it needs? Yes, you have a constant need for stimulation, but this can actually make you very funny and enthusiastic because you're always looking for a laugh, just like Jim Carrey. Yes, you're always distracted, but this also makes you very creative because you need to pay attention to a lot more things at once to stay engaged, which is when you're able to recognize seemingly unrelated patterns, just like Einstein did with his theory of relativity. And yes, you have trouble focusing on things you aren't interested in, but you're able to hyper-focus on things that you are interested in, giving you the power and dopamine to put in a day's work in just a few hours, just like Tesla. So yes, ADHD has a dark side, but I learned that after careful consideration, there is also a bright side. A bright side with a light so bright under the right conditions, it can outshine many others. The impact that this light can have can be huge and immense, which is also why it takes a lot of energy to power and therefore only shines about 50% of the time or less. But when it does, it surprises everyone. We ADHDers have what's called a spiky profile. While neurotypical people can force themselves to be kind of alright at everything, we are either really bad at things or the best in our fields in others. There is no middle ground. We are naturally occurring specialists. And so I invite you to think about this. What if you, with your ADHD brain, were put on this earth for a reason? What if the challenges you're facing right now are the very fuel you need to transform into an unstoppable force of innovation? What if you're really here for something greater, for something bigger than just you? To create, innovate, inspire, help, change, heck, leave an impact. Maybe, just maybe you have ADHD for a reason. And if so, maybe that could change everything. At least that's what it did for me. It gave me hope. I've now come to accept that I won't always be able to optimize my ADHD suffering, that I'll have lows, but that these are simply the price I pay for being able to do and experience things that others can't. It transformed my victim mindset into one of growth and possibility. However, I also realized the importance of not letting inferiority and darkness drive you. Because real success is not defined by your achievements or money. It's about how you feel after having accomplished what you have. You see, while Einstein achieved great things, it was also known that he wasn't necessarily happy. As a scientist with unconventional ideas, Einstein often felt isolated from his peers. Early in his career, he went through divorce, had an estranged daughter, and was known to be very isolated, often pondering existential questions about humanity. In his pursuit of greatness and progress, he forgot to stay balanced. Don't we know what that feels like? And so the real solution isn't about forcing yourself to work harder or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about learning how to harness the unique power of your ADHD. When you do this, everything changes, and a whole new world of possibilities opens up. A world in which you can finally make an impact, leave a legacy, and feel good while doing it. This is the only way forward. And even if it seems impossible right now, trust me that with the right approach, it's not. Because not only am I living proof, but actually thousands of ADHDers were able to turn their life around using the right approach. This right approach is a simple system I've created that shows exactly how ADHDers like us can unlock feel-good productivity every day without relying on willpower or discipline. It's not an old monkey banana type trick, but a never-seen-before process designed by successful ADHDers for people with ADHD backed by science. And I actually recorded an in-depth video explaining exactly how this new system works and why it's so life-changingly powerful. It's the closest thing to a magic bullet. Curious? Click here or in the description below to see how it works.